Hello, everybody, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Faye, your daily 15 minutes of me, Faye Lily. I am so excited to talk to you all today about, oh no, there's a Starbucks mug on my, it's a Starbucks mug. It's not a cup. I didn't go to Starbucks. I've had it for months, but it's one of those things of like, like when COVID, like now after current COVID, during the like when you cough at all, when I cough at all, I'm like, oh, everyone thinks I'm infecting the world, and it's because I am. That's the truth of it. I get a little congested whenever the weather changes, and so in Chicago, I am sick from like congested sick from what are all the months? What are every single one of the months except for like two or three of them? From like September to April, I would say I'm a little congested the whole time, and that is my right and my privilege as not just an American but a cis and pregnant woman for this year at least. I am a trans woman. I jest a lot. The reason I'm of course like advocate, there's, every part of me wants to do something that's just like fun, right? And the necessity, but I just don't know if fun without honesty is fun. I feel like it's just denial. And maybe it is still fun, right? Maybe it's still like, tonight we are young. This is a little like fangent. Oh, that sounded very close to something that I am allowed to say. Because you're allowed to say it if you yourself, if it's been said to you. You can say the F slur if it's been said to you. And it's true, right? Whenever somebody calls me, it's like, first of all, true. Second of all, you wish. You absolutely wish. You're 9 men walking together wearing, like, coordinated outfits like your Power Rangers. Every one of you has a different color polo that you got at the Banana Republic that your parents created. You are all walking together inches from holding hands from one another, and it's just like, when I see a gaggle of guys, just like, you guys need to fuck. Every one of you needs to just load down, suck it in, turn each other inside out, have a Tanner feast. Each of you takes a little time on a Tanner hole or orifice, or I guess, is a hole and orifice the same? Hole and orifice. Chat, sound off. Chat, could you tell me whether a hole and an orifice are the same thing, or maybe it's like, because like, could you just be like, oh, I dug an orifice on the ground? I don't know if that works. I don't know if you can make an orifice. Maybe an orifice is a natural occurrence. I don't know. I don't know the etymology of those words. I just know that obviously, like in everything that is said, my other co-host Pancake has joined me. She's being quiet, which is not like her. For those of you in the video version, she just put her tails right in front of she's blocking me with her tail. She's like, no, people would prefer to see my ass than you. And honestly, Pancake, hey, respect. I like looking at your ass. Anyway, those like gaggle of guys, they then go and hang out at a bar where the only thing they're allowed to talk about is sport. Like, that's the only thing they're allowed. They can like get excited about each other in the moments before like a score happens or when something bad occurs, and then they also can get a little emotional or like heated together when they're in bathrooms. And I don't know what that is, but maybe it's just like the privacy that you could have to do your like Tanner feasting, to make a meal out of Tanner, to eat you up, to serve you on a platter, to have a Tanner platter. Tanner platter! We found it. That's what it is when you see a gaggle of guys who have like frat adjacent or frat energy, and you think these people need to have sex with each other and it would really help them. It won't make them less misogynistic, right? Gay people have very little reason to not be misogynistic to women, right? Like there's no reason for them. They've got no. That's how I feel about Pete Buttigieg. Whenever he's like, well, women's sports. Pete Buttigieg, you've never once cared about women's sports in your life. Your twink ass would get eaten alive in any women's league. I love this like. Oh, that's my cat knocking something over. I love this like notion of like, well, men are inherently better than women at sports. I would have been on JV women's swimming. I would have been on JV women's swimming even before transitioning. I was a swimmer and I was JV women's speed before transitioning into a different body. And so people just kind of like assume it's like, well, you're inherently better. It's like, I don't think that's true. I actually like quantifiably on things, it's not true. Quantifiably, but like no one cares about the math of things, because if we cared about the math of things, our society wouldn't look like this. And I say this as somebody who hated learning about math growing up, and then it's like, oh, math is freaking everywhere. That sucks. I thought I wouldn't have to do it after I stopped having to divide utilities. I'm thinking about Monopoly right now, and I'm also watching my cat because there's a chance that she's getting into something, and that's really, I'm proud of her for it, right? I think it's always good when cats are involved in their communities, and when they just like kind of are, curious. My cats do take after me, right? Like one of them is really food motivated and needy. Very much just like, everyone look at me, and don't look at me when I'm trying to get in your food. Or look at me because I do want you to see that I'm doing this, and if you don't give me the attention, I'm going to do it. And so it's kind of like a lose-win for her, right? She either doesn't get the food and win. Well, I guess it's a win-win, because then she really likes when people touch her with food hands so she can lick it off, which is also something I very enjoy. We're similar in that way. I like when people rub their Doritos hands on my chest so I can lick it off. I learned that from Chester Cheetah. He's a freak. Sorry, she's a freak. And the other one is transgender and keeps trying to hurt herself. I'm sorry, that's not true. All cats have 7 lives left. There's a quote that I read in a book about trees, a very scientific book about trees, which a lot of it went over my head. But sometimes when something goes over my head, then it's like, well, how do I make it not go over my head, right? Because like you can catch a frisbee with practice, but you just have to practice to catch that frisbee and not have it go over your head. For most things, sometimes with autism, people will say things and I'll just be like, well, that was a literal statement. Like I thought, I thought, can I buy you a drink was very literal. Like it was just the action of buying someone a drink, not an invitation to like talk more and have flirty conversation and fun, get to know each other more. I thought it was solely about buying hot people drinks and then walking away. You don't want to take up more of their time. They've got things, they've got places to be. Hot people got places to be. People got to go look at them, and you're taking their time, and I'm taking their time. And so although I feel hot now, which is good, or like, I don't know, I feel very like, I feel very Illinois beautiful. Just like there's like a Midwest quaint to me, and I feel really Midwest quaint in a way that makes me feel, I'm blushing. I think I just like nailed the way that I feel cute, and it's Midwest quaint. There's like a Midwestern about her. She loves Italian beef. I do. I like beef a lot. I do. I mean, like but I've been having tofu. I've been having some fried tofu, trying to just like veg it up a little bit in my meals, have a little bit less meat, because like, it's not, for me at least, it's about harm reduction, not harm like destruct. Like I can't destroy the harm that exists as a part of being in America, but I can reduce it a little bit in my own individual ways. And also like, yes, it is 9 people whose names we know and have eaten children, and we should throw into active volcanoes if we're being honest. We should, yeah. I think it's more than just that though. It's like everything that they own, we should take from them, and that includes their families. Every piece of profit that anyone connected to them has ever made should be seized and returned into the protection of children and social services throughout this country. That's the bare minimum for me. Everyone involved in this needs to have everything seized, and depending on their category of complicitness, because this needs to be contextual, we do need to talk about capital punishment, because you do enough of a bad thing, and letting you live because you had power for it sends a message. But then also, then you have to consider, like, you have to know when the revenge is settled. You have to know when it's like, if I do any more than this, I'm going to enable a cycle. And that's the really hard thing. But I also don't think that, sorry, I see the Starbucks cup again. I'm going to turn it. So it's just a white cup. Look at that now. People in the viewing audience can see that it's just a plain cup, and it's always been a plain cup. And if you say otherwise, well, the FBI or the CIA might already, they're probably already keeping track of that. They're keeping track of everyone who's like pro-Palestine, which is crazy, right? What the necessity to enable something so evil requires the destruction of anything with a spine or anything that's clinging to a bit of goodness. That's where we are. It's unfortunately, I think people think that it's going to get better, but it's not going to. It's not going back to what it was, right? You can't predate COVID anymore. It revealed all the cracks in the system, which is not an uncommon part of like what pandemics do in the like role of empires falling. Pandemics always have a significant say in it, and it's the destruction of your people, But America's primary like control mechanism over its population is our struggles with discomfort, right? Even like sometimes I'll be singing alone in my home and I'll feel uncomfortable, like people are watching me and judging me, and that feeling like judgment is the worst thing in the world, right? Because maybe at a time it was in the minuscule of your brain, or maybe like around your home you felt judged for being yourself, and that like teaches you that. And then when wading into the uncomfort of exploring, because it is uncomfortable to explore. I talked about this with an improv instructor, and I was like, I feel like my improv's bad, and they were like, well, I don't know if I'd call it bad. Maybe what you're just doing is like you're reaching outside of yourself to learn a new skill that you can incorporate into your toolkit. And that's very similar to a lot of growth as a person, right? Like you leave yourself to learn more, and the process of that discomfort is where growth is. And we don't grow if we can't be uncomfortable with ourselves. We can't be uncomfortable with like people. We have to learn that like community building and together. I have to learn how togetherness, like I think with, I sort of have this like innate belief that everyone in the world hates me. And if I don't tend to that belief at all times, it kind of is always there, right? Like yesterday I got a compliment on an improv set I felt bad about, and I was like, oh, well, that's not true. Like instantly I was like, is it? And then I had to be like, no, it is. People don't just say things to you, right? And I think maybe part of the reason I thought people said things was because I was just saying things, right? I think the thing that I am realizing is that everything I think is like a person behavior, like a common one, might be just like a deviant me behavior. That I predict, that I see in a lot of people, but just because I read it in myself, a lot of like superseding of other people's feelings and emotions and actions and cares. And it's like, why do I get to decide what you feel? For me, I've said it before on here, but like I can read a room as long as I'm deciding what everyone's thinking. And it's interesting because I can read a stage, right? Like it gets more complicated with interpersonal dynamics. Obviously, like you have to learn and grow with other people, and like that sort of dualistic approach that things are good and bad changes the more you love people, because the more you love people, the more you let in the fact that people are complicated. Myself deeply included. I think I failed to meet my own standards for behavior for much of my life, and many times I met my standards for behavior as well, but I wasn't fully sure of what my standards were because I had not taken the time to be uncomfortable and define them. Of like, how do I wish to be? How am I when I am most myself? And I hope that can be mostly kind. I think there is a sharpness that I have, and I don't mind the sharpness, but that does not mean that someone called me gentle once, and in the calling of that, I realized that I wanted to be what people kept telling me that I was, which means that I was it, and then in the process of not believing it, I stopped becoming it. And so I want to believe that I can be the things that I have been. and grow, and also let's steal all the money from these horrible people and throw them in volcanoes. Have a good day. Love you. Keep up the good work. Stay strong. Be rude to bad people. There are bad people. Oh, I'm over 15. Fuck, I've gone over every time and I'm still doing it. Eventually this is just going to be like 40 minutes. It's going to still be called the same thing. Love you. Bye.